Woo, let me tell you about Southern Holler. Deep-rooted conversation on civics and business. It offers an insightful exploration of local politics, community dynamics, and business partnerships. Each episode unravels a complex interplay between civic affairs and business ventures.
And we're back, Power. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, sir?
Well, doing wonderful.
Wonderful. Happy Juneteenth.
Already.
Yes, sir.
That's, this year has gone by so fast.
It has. It very much has.
Well, by the time this podcast goes out, it'll be a little bit after her birthday. But I want to wish my wife, Belinda Outwater, a birthday.
Absolutely.
So while we celebrate Juneteenth, I've been celebrating Belle for 20-something years.
Hey, that's great.
She's still like 21 years old to me when I met her.
And to know her is to love her.
Yeah, it hasn't aged one bit. She just want to wish her a happy birthday, and she's awesome. She's my favorite person in the world. Our doggos love her, and people love her. And
it's hard not to love her.
yeah, City of Auburn loves her. Her library people loves her. All that stuff.
Kids love her. Everybody. She should run for office.
I don't know if both of us can run for office.
She may throw something at me later for that.
I know. I don't know if we're both ready for that.
I understand.
But happy birthday to Belle Outwater.
Happy birthday, Belle. To know you is to love you, and I hope it's a wonderful day. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us yet again on this wonderful series that we have been doing. It's amazing that we've been going for, I think, 3 or 4 months now, I believe. We started,
February 28th.
Okay, yeah, see. As you all know, we kind of start things off and we talk about a couple of different things that may have interested us that we've seen out and about, whether if it's an interesting thing about a city or a county or a news story. But I think today, since today's going to be about journalism, let's report a couple of things. For one, I want to be kind of solemn here for a little bit, just because I hope everybody out there, nobody will know this. Nobody's heard. The Chatham County Sheriff has been in the hospital here for a little while, and I just want everybody to keep him in your thoughts and prayers if you do that, because I don't know him, and I don't think anybody up here would know him, but everything you read about him, he's a good man, and he's done a wonderful job, and so just keep him in your thoughts and prayers. On the other part is, last night was primary night. All across the state, there were several counties that had runoffs. And if you don't know, the state of Georgia is one of those states that's kind of interesting. If you don't get 50+1 in the primary general election, you have to go into a runoff. And so across the state, there were several elections that went into primary runoffs. And a lot of those included incumbents. And I tell you, Jeremiah, it was very interesting as I was looking at several counties across the state. This is just reporting and showing something that I thought was interesting. Some heavy races across the state. We looked at like the sheriff race in Augusta, Richmond County. The incumbent sheriff lost last night in his primary race. The Rayburn County Sheriff incumbent lost last night in his runoff race. The incumbent chairmans in Rockdale County, that one has been a hot topic lately. He lost last night, including the chairman of Catoosa County. He lost as well. And then a incumbent county commissioner in Fulton County, she lost very big last night. So it was very interesting to see, that's just kind of a snapshot of some races across the state where we saw a lot of incumbents lose their races. It's going to be interesting to see going forward how elections are now, because, in the past, it has always been that if you have that I by your name, you're pretty much safe unless you do something really stupid. You have it. So it is interesting to see now how that dynamic has kind of changed, because even if we go back to the regular primary election in May, there were several incumbent county commissioners, there was a couple incumbent sheriffs, and other incumbents in other races that lost their re-election that night. So it's interesting to see that dynamic change. Maybe look and see what this means going forward for the future. They're going to have to reach out to a lot more people now, and you got to go out and earn it.
Yeah, well, and you also have to think about, we have a presidential election race coming up in the fall, and then just the influx of people moving to Georgia in the last, 4 years, pretty much since COVID.
Yes.
I judge everything based on COVID now.
Absolutely.
COVID time, kind of like BC.
Yeah.
Before COVID.
Before AC and BC, before COVID and after
before
COVID.
COVID and after COVID. Just the influx to Georgia itself. It's going to be interesting how the dynamics keep shifting and changing. And
And that's interesting too if you think about it, because you look at focal points in how you do the BC. When we saw the events of 9/11 take place, people were saying before 9/11 and after 9/11, and then the housing market crashed, and it was before '08, after '08. Now it's before COVID and after COVID. You see those dynamic points, and you see how things truly do change. So you're exactly right.
What's funny is every time we talk about politics, and again, for our guest purposes, we'll say report politics, not an opinion, report.
No, absolutely.
That we'll go back to the first episode. It's like we're always looking for good people to be in public spaces.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't, to me, it
That's
doesn't really
incumbents and
matter.
non-incumbents.
It doesn't really matter to me. Just be a good person.
Absolutely.
And we need good people. There are good people in the world. There's good people that need to help take up the mantle.
It's critical that we keep the good people where they should be, and that we add more good people into the space. And so, but let's get to the main ticket item, shall we, Jeremiah?
Yeah, go ahead and report that.
So I like what you did there.
I know, thank you.
We are excited to have Miss Morgan Ervin here in the studio with us today. She is a reporter with the Barrow News Journal and employed with the Main Street News. And am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just making sure I said that full right. You'll be able to tell your title better than I would, but we're excited to have her in the studio today and then talk about her role and what she does for the newspaper and her experiences. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So where are you based out of now?
Home.
Hey, that's good.
Hey,
That's
that is
always
good.
wonderful.
I started out going in, our office is in Jefferson. After about a year or two of going back and forth from Jefferson, and I moved to Winder, I'm like, why am I going to the office every day? So I just started working from home and out of Winder. So
Wow. How long have you been doing it now?
I've been the editor at the Barrow News Journal since December of 2021. I guess about 3 years.
Wow.
Going on, yeah.
So you were after COVID, right after COVID, right?
Yes.
Or during-ish.
Well, I started reporting for the Main Street News in Jackson County, and that was January of 2021. So that was right during COVID. And then I just sort of worked my way into the editor position after about a year. The whole BC, or wait, AC.
AC, after COVID.
Yeah.
So, the first time I met Morgan,
I think the first time I met you was at a City of Auburn event. I think it was the fall event.
that makes sense.
And you were under the tent with Belle.
Right. Forever, we've always done free things with the library to pass out to little kids, and been doing that, 10 years, 12 years? We've been doing that forever. So that's what we were probably doing that day.
Yes, it was. She was doing crafts, and Belle, who's awesome, happy birthday, Belle. She was doing crafts with the kids and was making me wanting me to wear a crown. And I was like, well, she'll let you get in touch with your inner child.
There you go.
I love that about her.
Yeah, she's a librarian at heart.
Yes.
She wants everybody to enjoy themselves all the time.
There you go.
That's very true.
And I think the first time we met was actually at a meeting, because I was on the Historical Preservation Commission at the time, and you came to one of our exciting meetings that lasted, I think, about 15 minutes.
Actually, I remember, I have a very good memory. It was actually at a City of Auburn town hall debate.
That's right.
You were the mediator.
That's right. I'm sorry.
No,
I don't know why.
I remember that very well.
I got so, Lord have
Because I've
mercy.
actually never attended a historic preservation meeting.
Okay. No, I thought you had. I thought I had seen you at community center. Well, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm sure
No,
I have,
you're
and I'm
good.
just getting the two confused. But yes, I remember that now.
And-
That was the first. I think that was the first forum that I had moderated.
Well, you did a fantastic job.
Well, thank you. I tried to. I don't know if I do, but I just try to hang in there as much as I can.
You really did a fantastic job. I was
thank
shocked when you said that you were still in college. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah, that was those days too.
And then I
That was felt like 1,000 years ago.
And then shortly after that, I met you and your mother
Yes.
at Piedmont Casa event, maybe?
Yes,
or-
it would have been Piedmont Casa or
Yeah.
something of that sort.
Y'all were some of the first people I actually met in Barrow County.
That's right.
And
That's
so is
right.
Belle, actually, as well. So,
Yeah.
and y'all are a good representation of
you're very kind.
the people
Oh,
of
you're
Barrow
very,
County.
very sweet.
Jeremiah is. I don't know about me.
Yeah, so says the son of Winder.
Oh Lord.
He's so humble every time.
You're gonna make my head bigger than it already is.
I know. Have you ever tried to go out to eat with him and his family?
No.
It's like watching, George Strait come through here. I mean, everybody has to come and shake hands.
Oh, yes.
Take pictures, get autographs.
You go out in public and you literally know everybody that you see, and it's like small town. It's like a true small town sort of feeling here.
Well, it started with my grandmother, because with my grandmother, I could never go to Ingalls with her because a 10-minute trip would turn into 45 minutes. Because she taught half of Winder and half of Barrow County, so it grew from there.
I love that. I love that about this county, though. It has that small town, Mayberry kind of feel to it.
Absolutely.
So in honor of Morgan coming in, we actually did write out some points this time.
Yes.
So, we try to keep it a little bit organized and not just talk, make it up as we go. So
We don't do that.
No, not at all.
No.
We're like I tell Tom sometimes. I said we're professionals.
We're halfway.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Every once in a while.
Think about it.
Let's ask the first question.
Okay.
So the first question: what are ethics to you, according to Morgan? What are ethics of reporting news? And by the way, is there a difference between reporting the news and just repeating what you see on social media?
Oh, absolutely.
I know that's a loaded question, but what about ethics for you when you try to look at something you're reporting on?
Ethics is probably the single most important thing about journalism. Being a journalist is something that I go through an ethical dilemma on just about a daily basis. So it's very important. It's about staying true to your set of values that you have. You can't stray from those values. So in journalism school, that's one of the main things that you are taught. Not taught how to write. You're taught about ethics and law. Ethics is something that you have to sort of live by and you have to consider always. And so with social media, there is really no ethics there. There's no standard.
No.
There's no standard for ethics. So people will you hear something and, you can't report on hearsay.
Right.
Because, I'm not in the business of ruining people's lives. You hear a lot of hearsay. You have to verify everything that you hear. And if you can't verify it, then it's not really reportable. You don't want to do things prematurely. For example, with the city, a lot of times you'll know something. It's not necessarily ready to be reported on yet.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know you understand. Both of you understand, but
maybe a little bit.
because you don't want to you don't want to stir people up over nothing.
I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Well, a lot of journalists aren't that way. But I'm very big on my integrity is the most important thing to me. I would rather keep my integrity than some sort of sensationalize something that's
Right.
not necessary.
Absolutely.
So that's very important to me, and it depends on the journalist really.
Sure.
And what you value and what you don't value, and for me, it's integrity. So
I got you. By the way, because Power had run recently, and then I ran semi-recently.
right,
I can attest to all of that. Social media is very unkind.
it's a tough crowd here in Winder for sure.
Winder, Auburn, Barrow County.
yeah.
I like the passion. That's the part that makes it good for me.
Right.
I was like, that makes it okay. I was like, I'm glad you're just passionate about things that are going on. That's fine, and you can have an opinion. We're an adult.
Oh, of course.
Totally fine with me. That's what makes it okay. Yeah, I just stopped reading social media because it's people that I've never met having very unkind words and thoughts, some inner thoughts that splash on a page or your phone, and you're just like, I was like, do you really operate like this every day? Is this something that this is how you talk in real life? I don't understand it.
Well, I always kind of go by the mantra, misery loves company. So people that aren't necessarily the happiest people in the world are going to try to spread their unhappiness to everybody else. So I just try to, I get naysayers as well, and you just kind of have to let it, just brush it off.
Yeah.
Because you can't let it bother you because it'll drive you insane if you do. Sometimes those kind of people can really make my job really difficult because people are like, oh, well, I heard this. Why aren't you reporting on this? And I'm like, well, because it's not necessarily verifiable news.
Yeah, and that goes back to hearsay.
Right, gossip.
Ronald Reagan said, "Trust but verify."
Trust but verify, correct.
Yeah,
So,
verify.
You can't call people ugly.
Yeah, no.
Can't comment
You're
about
a-
people's
you're a
appearance.
And touching on the passion thing, you absolutely have to have a passion. And in my opinion, you have to be passionate about what you're doing when you're a journalist. Because, nobody gets into journalism for the money, that's for sure.
Same politics.
No.
Yeah, politics
But
is
loving-
the same.
right,
Wait.
right.
Local politics is the same. Yes.
But, for me, loving what you do is the most important. So
Absolutely.
And so I can say I've achieved that in life.
Who do you see as your base of readers?
I see it as my base of readers, the people of Barrow County. That's everybody. I try to make my articles and the articles that I choose, because it's really my decision when I make news. Because, I'll go to a Winder council meeting or an Auburn council meeting, and my big thing is what's my headline? Where's my headline story here? And that's just totally up to me. I try to make things that people are going to be interested in. My number one goal is to inform, because we have to have an informed public to have a good running democracy, republic, whatever you consider it. I think my readers are just everybody. I try to grasp all demographics and try to make things understandable and relatable to all ages, no matter all demographics.
Yeah, absolutely.
I try to give a voice to people that don't necessarily have voices, stories that, because it's so awesome when you do something, highlight something that somebody that never really gets in the newspaper.
Sure.
A student. I recently did a student at the Newcomer Academy. She did this amazing piece of artwork, and I saw it on Facebook. And I was like, that would be a great cover photo. I was looking for a cover photo. And so I ran it as my cover photo, and like, she was just through the moon excited about that.
That is wonderful.
You know, her family, like everybody was so excited. So
That's wonderful.
I love doing that.
Good way to welcome somebody.
Yeah, and I see my platform. I have this platform, and it's my platform is everybody's. Like I don't want to. It's open to all.
So traditionally, I have the little cutout of me in the article, the profile when I ran for office.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I
we,
love that.
We kept that part of that article.
Yeah.
And then Southern Holler, you did a little thing on Southern Holler with Ben.
You told me your family didn't realize how big of a deal it was when you said it was a podcast.
Oh,
But
no,
when
it
it was in the paper. They were like, "Oh."
Oh, it was like, yeah, it made the local paper. It was like, oh, that's a big deal. I was like, okay, thank you. I appreciate that. As soon as they saw it, yeah, they were very happy with me. So some of that traditional thing still does work, or at least some of us are.
People still want to cut out the clippings, and one of the best ones I had recently was the basketball team in Widener Barrow made it to the Final Four. I did the spread of that front page, and I worked so hard on it because I knew the Coach Travis McDaniel. Shout out to him, he's awesome. He frames I went to his office one day and I was like, oh my gosh, he had like 3 of my front pages framed. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So I knew, with that in mind, I made sure the seniors, and you really try to get the people in high school. It's an important time of life. So
absolutely.
You don't get it again either.
No, this isn't a got you question. We could make it one.
No,
we're not going to do that.
No, I'm not.
No.
Because she'll pay me back.
I know, right?
She'll pay me back. I can't do it.
So we wrote it out. What's a hot button issue? So I would maybe reframe it by, it's like, what's the one thing that you keep getting asked about currently?
I would say it's growth.
Other than traffic.
It's roads, growth, growing pains that Barrow County is currently experiencing, and watched it happen to my hometown of Duluth when I was a kid. And it went from being woods
metropolitan
to Atlanta.
Yeah, woods to a railroad track to like 2 buildings.
Right. I literally grew up off Pleasant Hill Road.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just a normal road.
Because now when people say I got to go to Atlanta, they mean they're going to Duluth.
Just be a little small town like Widener is. My great-great-grandmother actually had a house in the middle of Duluth by the high school, and when she died in 98, they tore it down and built a parking lot. Well, that sort of stuff is happening today in Widener. I'm like
we're just getting started.
Yeah, y'all are just getting started. But I don't think that, a lot of times people say, oh, we're becoming Gwinnett, and I disagree. I think that Widener will never be Gwinnett, because I don't think that I think it'll still have that small charm about it. Always.
Well, so as somebody who runs for office, you always have to figure out what that means.
Right, smart growth. What is smart growth?
Yeah, smart growth is like, I always relate it to people. It's like the people make the town.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily buildings. Not everybody's going to like the building. Not everybody's going to agree with building in the pasture that the family sold. And now that's created generational wealth for their family when they bought it for not that much, 80 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to judge that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, it's still about people that makes the town. Yeah,
and right now a lot of Barrow County is people like me who from Gwinnett and came up here to escape. But I think that something that I always say is, which I'm not a decision maker or anything. I just watch it in all the counties, and I think I might be the only person that actually goes to all the city council meetings and county meetings, or at least keeps up with them.
Right.
I can say that I think that people really need to grasp is that we cannot have a 1970s town in 2024. Like, things are going to change. People are not happy about. Nobody likes change. It's the growing pains that come along with the growth, but it's hard to be critical of it because you have two sides and you want to make sure both sides are represented fairly. Just basically my approach to it is just to literally go by the meeting. What was said in the meeting, what was done in the meeting, and don't put my opinion in, because my opinion doesn't matter what I think. But change is inevitable, so you have to just plan it right.
Mm-hmm. We don't want to keep anybody from not being able to use their property the way they want it. I also, for me personally, when I look at decision making and look at that, I look at planning I also want to make sure that the city looks nice and that we have the housing there that, yes, is available for folks of all financial situations, but also making sure that the houses fit in the city.
Nice.
It looks that it doesn't stand out, because I want something to be symmetrical. I want something to look when you're going down the road and you're looking at things that not that it looks similar, but that it fits in.
Right.
But it can look different. I mean, not to say, I don't want something cookie cutter, but I also want something that does fit in, that does match the character areas,
Right.
the character areas of what each area is. So, that's what I care about. But
Yeah, I think that by the way, I think you're doing a great job as a council member.
kind.
You are probably the like when somebody says old soul, like that is.
Oh, yeah.
I've never met an old soul like Power.
He's an old soul
You
with
1,000% lived in a different time. Like you are reborn. Like he's really is truly an old soul.
when I talk about Power outside the podcast and I'm describing him, I was like, imagine a 60-year-old guy with bad knees, but he's 25 years old. I said that's Power.
accurate, except it's a bad back. It's a bad back.
It's a bad back. So we're about to wind down, but I really want to ask this last question.
Sure.
We'll do a 1A. 1A, what's your favorite headline you ever wrote? Do you remember?
Okay, well, the one I got sued for.
Well, can you repeat it, or are you going to get sued
Well,
again?
it was something to do with. Well, I won the case, so
okay.
It was because he sued me over the headline. It was council member's attempt at getting his way in a personal dispute backfires.
Yeah, don't use real names. I know who you're talking about.
I'm not using names or the town or the city.
Yeah,
I will,
don't do
that
that
will
one.
remain anonymous.
I remember that.
I got sued for it. Was 4 months into my job, and I work with people that have been working for the newspaper for 30 years
Right.
and never been sued. It took me 4 months.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
yeah. So that was definitely the most memorable because obviously I.
So that's a headline. What about a story? What's a good story that you could wrap up here in a minute?
Okay, probably some of every February I do a Black History Month Spotlight series.
Oh, yeah.
And when I do those interviews, those are so fun. I love doing that every year. I started doing, the first one I ever did was Al Brown, and he had such a cool story. And then one of my favorite ones I did was Kenny Cooper, the coroner.
Yes.
Shout out to Kenny Cooper.
Amazing
He
person.
is my brother from another mother and father.
It's one of my favorite
I
stories
love
I've ever
Kenny
written.
Cooper.
It's one of my first favorite leads I ever wrote.
Yes.
Because I thought it was going to be talking to the coroner, and instead it went a different direction.
Oh, yeah.
And he's an amazing pastor.
Oh, Kenny all
He
around.
brought tears to my eyes, literally. at
Kenny
his service.
is a good man.
Truly,
I love Kenny Cooper.
Yeah, one of my favorite people I've interviewed, even though he wasn't the easiest to get information out of. He doesn't like talking about himself, but super cool guy. Loved the article, and I went to his church service, and it was like, oh my gosh, so good.
That's so awesome. Hey, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
This was so much fun. We appreciate your work.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I checked in with you the other day, and I know you were really excited just to have you on, just so people can actually hear you talk.
Right.
And not just through your
Hide behind my pen.
writings, hide behind your pen and the things that you throw.
Yeah, I'm actually a person with a personality and opinions. And
yeah. But I think we respect your work. And
Thank you so much.
So glad that you're here in the community.
Absolutely.
Thanks for doing what y'all do as well.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it for us today. Thank you for our guest, Ms. Morgan, as always. Thank you to Power. And thank you for the Northeast Georgia Business RadioX studio, a producing podcast studio with Mr. Tom Sheldon. You can always find us on negbrx.com. Look for Southern Holler. You can also look for us on your favorite podcast. We'll see you next time.